My name is Anna van Vliet. There were two girls in my class who didn't speak Dutch very well. They had to learn it. They spoke German. I couldn't understand why. So we got a lot of people crossing the border who were Jewish. And there were a lot of Dutch people who picked them up and gave them a room and board. We heard that Germany had invaded Europe. My father said to me, let's put on the radio and hear what they have to say. And there was a very loud German voice, like Hitler's voice, who was telling the world that Germany was going to conquer the world and they would have a 1,000-year Reich, and everybody was going to kneel for Hitler. You better believe it. My mother was a housevrouw. If you were married at that time and your mother had to work, meant poverty in that household. If you had to do it, you would hide it, or else it was a no-no. We had hidden 2 boys, so instead of having 7 people in my family, we had 9. But we all had to leave our house because the first things the Germans would do is come to the house and say, here, 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 na, 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 pick up whoever was Jewish or was against them. And I don't know where they put them, but yeah, I know it was not what you call Valhalla. So when my father did not do it, he had to go in hiding. My father was a train engineer before the war and during the war. And during the war, he didn't want to because he was transporting German soldiers and he didn't want to do it. So one morning I wake up early, sister and I sharing the bedroom, my older sister and I hear noise. I have no idea what kind of noise, but it is louder and louder. So I get up and go to my window and look, and the way in the distance is our airport, which is called Schiphol. What's happening at Schiphol? I say, lots of airplanes. So they were bombing and shrapnel fell in the street. We were not outside, of course, we were hiding. We knew it was dangerous to be outside when they were dropping all the bombs and the shrapnel of the bombs that we got. So when that thing was over, the sign was free. I went outside with my brother and across the road walked a guy, Jacob Peter. Now the newspaper, of course, was controlled by the Nazis from 42 to 45, and pro-Nazi things and anti-English as much as you could. But it was possible to create an underground paper, which we did with a group of people. It was a very interesting newspaper, well read, and mostly, interestingly enough, by Jewish people. So when I arrived at the Telegraaf and was involved in sending the newspaper, and I was so surprised how many I had to mail to Westerbork. I only sent newspapers to Westerbork. To Mr. Cohen, to Mr. I don't know whom, all kind of names. I'd come from my office 5 o'clock, The greenhouse was not closed yet, but I was already home. My office closed at 4:30. I was home at 5 o'clock, and then I went to the greenhouse to see my lover. I delivered a Dagblad Trouw underground newspaper. I didn't realize at the time that there would be danger involved. You were young, you couldn't give a hoot, it had to be done. We listened to Radio Oranje from London, England, where we got the real news in the world, also about what to do in Holland. They told the train engineers to go on strike because if the trains didn't go, the Germans could not transport, in the first place, their soldiers from A to B and stuff out of Holland, which they stole. So we had, in the end, no more food. And by the way, the only time I pat myself on the shoulders, still proud of that, was on Christmas Eve, 1944. I had to do some errands, and the best street to do it in was the Kalverstraat. So I'm downtown, Kalverstraat, do my few errands, and there is a German soldier walking. And I can tap myself on the shoulders. That was the first time I felt sorry for a German. One came back. I rang the doorbell, my mom opens the door. And there was Appie. She runs into his arms. I run in his arms, and the three of us are standing with arms around one's shoulders. And my mother said, "You made it. Appie, you made it." And then the war is over. Well, where I was in Amsterdam. I went outside when I heard the war was over, and apparently everybody went outside. And where did we want to celebrate? Dam Square in Amsterdam. So we went and jumped, went like this. I had a stranger on this arm, about 14, and just danced. We didn't have to hide it anymore. That was the joy. Freedom of expression. That's what it's boiled down to.